Willow Talk returns. Liam Flanagan here, joined by a man who spent 66 of the best behind the stumps for Australia in the baggy green, Brad Haddin. And our very own Novak Djokovic, he managed somehow to get out of quarantine, get out of it. He manufactured a negative COVID test so that he could be there in the commentary seat for his home test match at the SCG. Gus Worland. G'day, Gus.
G'day, mate. Yeah, no, absolutely. Don't worry. I tried to go a day earlier as well, but you and our boss at Triple M said, mate, you're a day ahead of a day ahead, so settle yourself down. But once the Prime Minister came out and said it went off your rapid, not your PCR, then I was available to come in on days 4 and 5. But I'm still waiting, Hads, on my PCR test results. But I feel fantastic. I reckon we all got it on day 3, 4, or what would have been day 4 of the Melbourne Test match, Lamb, and myself and Beefy and Tubby Taylor and Merv Hughes. We all went down for a couple of days, but now we're feeling fantastic. And obviously a brilliant finish, a wonderful Test match at the SCG. When you get smaller scores, I suppose it really does help, and declarations. It makes Test cricket the format that we all love the most.
Hads, how did you feel when you saw, I guess you could call him the cultural leader of the Triple M cricket commentary team, when you saw that he got himself off his COVID bed and he waltzed into the commentary box at the SCG? Did you want to get around him, or were you a bit hesitant?
Well, I tell you what, it's a wonderful test match, the Jay McGrath test match, where the whole oval goes in pink. And we didn't have one of the iconic stars there, Glenn McGrath. He'd already tested positive for COVID, but it was Gus Worland. It's the second best thing. To have him in the commentary box, he's our leader. You know how much the Sydney Test means to him. And my understanding was he was in the clear. Where I'm really nervous about is the information we just found out then, that he still hasn't got his results. So, I don't know. We need another producer, and myself are out of the last test because we're in the one room with Gus Worland. Now, he's happy because he gets to go to Hobart, but we'll be locked in our bedrooms.
I'm absolutely fine, Hads, I promise.
We should make mention of that. Over $5 million raised for the pink test, all the virtual seats that were purchased, all the fundraising efforts for the Jay McGrath Foundation. Over $5 million raised, and that will continue the tremendous work that organisation does. So well done to everybody who gave at the test match, and for those of you at home as well. Let's talk about the cricket, Hads. What a draw. I mean, what's the old adage? It's like dancing with your sister. I mean, we've won the Ashes,
I think
so it's okay.
It's kissing your sister, not dancing with your sister,
Gussie,
mate. No, but that's the point. It's dancing with your sister.
Do you have a sister, Gus?
Well, dancing with your sister's okay, but kissing her would not be okay.
It's getting more uncomfortable in here.
You know
Is this
what I
how
mean?
you got COVID, Gus?
Oh, wow.
Hads, what about the cricket? Did you? That's the elephant in the room. Did the declaration come too late?
Oh, in hindsight, it looks like that it did, because they didn't get the result in the end. But I thought maybe they could have gone 20 minutes early. I think as soon as Usman Khawaja had got his 100, I think if they had got out then, that would have gave him an extra 20 minutes. And in the end, that could have been the difference. But in hindsight, what a wonderful test match it was. We're there to the last over of the match, still looking for a result. The energy around the stadium on day 5, there have been a lot of interruptions for raid. There's a great crowd there day 5 as well. So it was a great spectacle for everyone. And for everyone to stay around to the last ball of the test match where the result was still on the table, the boys will be disappointed, I think. Even though it was a great test match, you want to have the opportunity to go in the last test of beating England 5-0. And the opportunity was there. And that might play on their minds a little bit, but in the end, it was a wonderful test match. Paddy Cummins hasn't done much wrong as captain. When you're looking for a declaration, sometimes you need to dangle the carrot and give them an opportunity to win the game, because you want them to play shots on the last day. So maybe they could have gone a little bit early, but in the end, I thought it was a wonderful test match.
Yeah, it was a wonderful test match. Mark Waugh, you know what he's like. He's pretty brutal, isn't he? He's not as nice as you, Hads, and he basically said they went an hour or maybe 2 hours too long. They were never going to get 300, let alone 400, and I think in hindsight that's been proven that had plenty of time. They were never going to get the runs, and Paddy probably made a mistake there, especially with the fact that the series was already 3-0. It wasn't like, you could dangle a carrot at 3-0. You wouldn't want to dangle a carrot at 1-1 or something like that. So I think that's probably a mistake there. But at the end of the day, like had said, over $5 million raised for something much more important than cricket, firstly. And then secondly, we go to Tasmania now, and we've got a chance to make it 4-0, which will be still pretty sweet.
We've got some decisions to. We're not going to make the decisions, but we've got a team to talk about for that 5th and final test match, which we will. But I want to get back to the declaration, Hads, because you talk about Pat Cummins and the mistakes. Can you walk Gus and I through it, who've never been in the dressing room when something like this is decided. How does the decision get made on when to declare? Is it on Pat Cummins? Is it Justin Langer? Who is Pat just the bloke that goes out and waves them in? Who's giving input into that decision?
In the end, Pat Cummins makes the final decision, but there's a lot of people that are involved in that process. You go to your fast bowler group and Nathan Lyon saying, how long do you need to have a break for? And how long do you need to take to bowl this team out? And that's one decision. You talk to the bowling coach and the coach and you see what works out best for everyone. I think one thing that you need to take into consideration with declarations is you've got to have a carrot there. I know I said it before. You've got to keep them interested in the game, because on a wicket like that, if you close up shop, it's really hard to get wickets. So sometimes you need to go an hour earlier or 50 less runs so the opposition thinks they can still win the game.
Yeah, and that's what they didn't do in this one, in hindsight.
And that's one of the discussions that they would have had in the change room. But everything they've done with the ball through this summer, that they dropped a few chances the other day as well. If Marcus Harris takes Stokes at bat pad, it's a different story. So they still created enough chances. They created more than 10 chances to win the match. But to answer your question, everyone's involved in the decision, the bowlers, the coaching staff. But in the end, it's up to Paddy Cummins to say, this is when we're going to declare, this is why, and let's go.
Okay, Hads, let's talk about the chances went down, because Carey's had a bit of a free run, and rightly so. And you throw away the second innings dig, the first baller, all that sort of stuff shouldn't have ever happened. But he wasn't tidy behind the stumps for the first time. Is there pressure on him like there was on Green? We'll talk about him, no doubt, because Liam loves to talk about it.
We'll get to Cameron Green. I'll hold
I'm sure
back
you
for
will,
a moment.
mate. He's like your little twin or something, you know. So I know that we'll get to him.
Mate, the bloke's okay. I'm going to bite my tongue for a moment. Let's talk about keeping.
It's an interesting scenario. Carey's spot safe for the moment. There's no doubt he's the keeper for this test and Pakistan moving forward. This is his first test series. One thing that happens, we've seen at the start of the test series, is outstanding in a few games, and he's just started to fall off a little bit in the last couple of test matches. And a number of things comes in that. It's an emotional time playing test cricket. So he would have experienced that for the first time. The scrutiny you're under in an Ashes campaign is totally different to anywhere else. So every little mistake you make is blown up to tenfold because of the pressure and the scrutiny of that series. A few little technical things crept into his game when he got tired. He got done a couple of times on his right off the fast bowlers, and he'll have a look at those over the next couple of days. The one person who'd be beating himself up more than anyone else is Alex Carey. He sets really high standards, but he's spot safe. He needs to tidy a few things up behind the stumps. And I tell you the one thing as well, he went out to bat a couple of times in this test series, and this just shows the character of the man. And he tried to drive the game forward. He didn't think once about getting a not out. And I've played against guys that'll think, oh, you know what, I'll get a not out here, another not out here. That'll push some average up. The one thing Alex Carey does, he plays for the team. He'll have a couple of days now where he'll reflect on what he's done wrong. He'll need to take some time away from the game. And the one thing he's got to do, this might sound weird, he's not overcatch this week. He's got all his volume he needs. He needs to look at the technical side of what's been happening on his right, and the mental side, he needs to get away and freshen himself up. So his spot's not under pressure, but he'd like a more polished performance in this last test.
Will he be not under pressure because of the fact that he has pushed the game forward? He hasn't played for himself. He hasn't played for his average. He hasn't played for the red dot not out. Will people understand that like you've just explained it to us?
Yeah, people understand it. The inner sanctum will understand it. It's a tough job coming into your first series. Your fatigue levels will start to drop off as it goes through the series, and he's never experienced this before as well. The mental pressure it puts on you for a 5-test series is enormous. But yeah, he'll feel it himself. He's got a lot of pride in his performance, and as the Australian wicketkeeper, you're the vocal point of the standards you set in the field. And to drop a couple of catches like he did, especially in the big moments he did, he'll be disappointed. He'll have a look at those. But the true test now is how he comes back from that. You've got to put that aside and be able to present yourself in this last test, drive the standards in the field, hold all your chances, and the opportunity comes with the bat, drive the game, and that's all we ask.
Well, you talk about driving standards and setting standards. Usman Khawaja came into this test knowing he'd only gotten another chance because of COVID that kept Travis Head out. He knew he was playing with house money, and he's come in and scored back-to-back centuries, and then when asked about his spot for the 5th test, said, I'm pretty sure I won't get picked. And this is a bloke, he's not throwing his toys out. This has got to go down as one of the most amazing performances by an out-of-favour Australian test batsman in the history of the game.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Uzi, he's just in a really comfortable place in his life. He's just had his first kid. He's got his second one on the way, and he's 35 years at age, and he's found that happy place in his game. But what we can't go past is the style of game he played in Sydney. That wicket was hard work in the first innings, and the way he came out, he looked in total control. He got Australia into the position to win the test match. In the second innings, he had a bit of fun. He drove the test match. He got a really good 100 off of 30 balls. And I don't think you can ignore that sort of standard, what he's just set there. An interesting thing for Marcus Harris is he's had opportunities to nail his test spot. He batted well in Boxing Day. He didn't get 100. He got himself in Sydney. He didn't capitalise and got 100. The one thing Uzi did, he did exactly that. So the pressure will be on Harris to retain his spot. And I don't think you can ignore form like Usman Khawaja's, and he got back-to-back hundreds in a test match.
So if that's the case then, if you're an Australian selector and you're in the inner sanctum now, Ads, would you say Harris has to miss the 5th test?
Well, the interesting thing with that is if you go on form, he has to miss the test match. But has he been guaranteed the series? That's the interesting thing to me, whether that they've given him an extended run. He's had a really good state career and given him an extended run in the team, or the extended run was those 4 test matches. So to me, that's the decision that whether that's already been made. If that hasn't been made and they're happy with the 4 tests he's got, you have to play Khawaja with the form he's in.
Well, I hear they're terrified to have 2 opening batsmen who are 36 years of age opening the batting in a 5th test of a series that's already won, and they want to keep Harris going. That's what I keep hearing, which means Uzi does miss out.
Well, the interesting thing about that as well is who they want to open in Pakistan. Is it Marcus Harris or Usman Khawaja? If that's the case, that's who opens for this test match as well. But it's brutal test cricket. It's absolutely brutal. So we've seen with Scotty Boland come in and take his opportunity. Khawaja took his opportunity. The way he scored those runs under pressure is really hard to ignore.
What? Sorry, Gus, can we just back up? Who are you hearing from? Who are these people you're speaking to?
Mate.
Like, I know Hads has got a direct line into the changing rooms because he was a part of the coaching setup and he's played there. But who are you talking to?
Mate, who do you reckon I'm talking to? Have a big wild guess.
You've been talking to Smudge.
No,
Has Smudge been leaking things to you?
I'm not talking about Smudge. I'm talking about, do you know who I am? Do you understand? Do you get it?
He's the face of the Sydney Test.
It took to the 4th edition of Willow Talk Hads for Gus Worland to drop the "Don't you know who I am" on us. There we go. Hey, the age thing though, Usman Khawaja, 35 years of age. You talk about him being in a happy place, not just in his profession as a cricketer, but in life with his kids and his wife. Hads, I know Billy Stanlake scared you into retirement at 38 years of age when he was bowling heat at the Adelaide Oval. But why can't Usman be a part of this test lineup for the next 3 years?
There's no reason he can't. You just have to have a look at Adam Vogels. He came into the test match scene at age 35 and had his best years of his life. So there's no reason to worry about his age at 35. If he wants to, he's still got three good years of test cricket left in him. These guys are unbelievable athletes now. David Warner is in better nick now than he was in his early 20s. So I don't. It's just a motivational factor. If he wants to keep getting up and presenting himself to get better and better each day to be a test cricketer, and by what we've seen in Sydney, that's exactly the case for Usman Khawaja. So age to me wouldn't come into it.
Okay. Now, Gus, would you like to offer up your whatever it is you're going to say about Cameron Green first, or would you like me to defend the young man's honour?
No, I'm going to give you what I think about Greenie.
Right.
Really enjoyed his knock. Again, I did feel a bit like the innings against India last time at the SCG. He scored runs when it didn't matter quite as much as we perhaps could have done earlier in the series. But in saying that, His bowling is magnificent. He's obviously loved amongst the team. His fielding's fantastic. He did get the runs. Every test run's hard to get, so I'm much more on board after this test match than I have been. What I was worried about, not so much Liam and Hads, and I see you both lining up from your long run here, is that it's not the fact that I didn't want him in the team. It's the fact that it was just assumed that it was his spot, and that's what I didn't like. The number 6 spot in Australian cricket is much privileged and much loved, and for a fan, I just didn't expect him just to have it for the next 5 years, as everyone else was saying.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd have it for the next 5, Gus. I thought
that's the way you were
for the
talking.
next 10.
And that's the way.
The next 10.
Oh, the next
I
10.
thought,
And Liam.
I just think the role he plays, let's have a look at the ball. He's a 5th leading wicket taker in the series at the moment. And what he does with the ball, he can bowl 145 Ks. He bowls a lot of the grunt overs now. He intimidates the opposition. But it allows Paddy, Hazelwood, when he's back, Stark bowling, to have a break and come on fresh and win those big moments. And what I like also with his batting is he's learning on the jog. Yes, he's struggled a little bit technically this series. And we've seen that. He's been searching around his front pad. He had an issue about hitting the front pad. Then he had an issue about he didn't know where his off stump was. But what we see in the second innings when he had to move the game, no matter what pressure he was under, he played the role for the team. He tried to move the game forward. We've seen him free up a little bit. And his last 40 runs, we've seen a thing of green that we're going to see for a long time. He's a stroke player. He's just fighting for a little bit of form. But there's no better place to be learning that now under scrutiny than an Ashes campaign.
All right. Now, I'm not going to try and talk to the cricket side of Cameron Green because Hads has just done that beautifully. What I'll say to you, Gus Worland,
Here we go.
what I'll say to you is you need to think about your longevity in the game of commentating cricket. All right?
Yeah.
This is a 22-year-old who, as Hads just rightly pointed out, is going to be a part of this test lineup for the next 10 years. Now is the time for you to get on the bandwagon because next summer it's going to be too late, right? You are going to be known as the bloke that wanted Cameron Green out of the test side. Now is the time.
Hey, mate, the only reason people will think that is because of you. You're the one that stokes this fire, young man.
Who do you want in?
Who do you want in? You want Mitch Marsh back in?
Well, why not? I mean, we kept picking him when he wasn't in form. He's now in form, and now he can't play for Australia.
Gus, let me ask you this. Do you want to be a part of the Triple M? Do you want to be on the right side of the Triple M cricket commentary team for the next couple of years if Mitch Marsh comes in? Or do you want 10 years with Cameron Green?
That's a good point. So you're saying Greeny can take me with him?
Oh, he can take you with him if you get on board.
I'm on board, mate. I think you've seen that I've softened over the last test or so, but I just wanted him to score a few more runs and not just have the spot guaranteed to him. And I know that's not his fault. That's everyone else giving him that spot. But I think
he's made a few runs now. I'm glad to see you've softened.
I definitely have.
He's going to go on and do some good things in Hobart as well before the tour to Pakistan. Let's talk about the other side that was out there because there was another side out there. And my man, Johnny Bairstow, bringing up the first ton.
What do you mean your man?
Well, I think if you go back and check the tape last week, I believe the line was something on the lines of, I like Johnny Bairstow. He's got a fight. He seems like the sort of player that Australia would like to have.
Actually,
something along those lines.
I actually do remember him saying that.
Yeah, he did.
Damn it.
Yeah. I haven't slept.
Yeah. I mean, he's a quality player, Bairstow. We know that, don't we?
What the best thing about Johnny Bairstow?
In fact, it was pretty obvious. Whatever Liam said was what everyone was thinking.
What we like about Johnny Bairstow is, with this 4th test, all they needed a team of 11 people to stand in front of Australia, look them in the eye, and compete. Throw away technique, throw away all the analytics. They just weren't competing in big moments. And the one thing Johnny Bairstow does, he gets under the skin of the opposition team. He competes. He wants to do well. He's unorthodox sometimes the way he plays. He took Nathan Lyon on, but he looked Australia in the eye and competed. And in the end, he got the reward. And he put a little bit of pressure on Australia that we haven't seen for the whole series.
Yeah, and the other thing I love about the England performance was Crawley stood up as well, especially in that second dig. He really did. There was a lot of pressure there on that final night before a day 4, last half an hour, 45 minutes. Hads will sitting there going, they could be 3-4 down here and it's all over by lunch tomorrow. Pretty similar to the 3rd test match. But he stood up and batted really, really well.
Gus, for the sake of those that might not have been able to keep track of it, walk us through this England lineup heading into Hobart because we saw Ollie Pope, who I thought did a pretty good job behind the stumps when he came in as the sub. They've had an array of injuries and changes and all the rest of that. Who is unavailable. Will Stokes get up for this final test?
I don't think Stokes will get up. Not if he's got a side strain. He was in discomfort the whole time when he's batting. One other thing to that, though, I thought he batted better when he had the side strain. We said that on commentary. He stood a lot stiller, and he just played traditional cricket shots rather than try to preempt what was coming down to him. I think Sam Billings will play.
I think he's definitely going. I think they've said that. The BBC, I think I listened to something last night saying they wouldn't bring him in if they didn't expect him to play and keep.
Another one who I'd like to see play, and I actually think it was a wrong decision dropping him. I'd like to see Ollie Pope.
You're a fan of Ollie Pope, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
What have you seen from Ollie Pope? Because he's looked literally like a Sunday afternoon cricketer against Nathan Lyon, and everyone's rapping him like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So what do you see in Popey?
Well, if you look at his first-class record, he's got an outstanding first-class record, and he's got a technique that can survive at test level. The one thing he struggled with was starting to Nathan Lyon, and that can happen at the start of your career. You get a bit anxious at the start of your innings and you rush things. Once he gets that tempo right, he's got the technique and temperament then to succeed. So why not give him as much test cricket as you can now? We talk a lot about how their county system's no good, we're not producing players. Well, if that's no good, they're not producing players. Well, where else are you going to do it? You're not going to produce them on the bench. So you might as well play someone. Hamid's out. He can't spell bat at the moment. So he might as well not play this test match.
So Rory comes back in and opens with Zach?
Well, I think Rory's an option. At least Rory will fight for his wicket. His technique's not great, as we've seen that. He's been exposed. But the one thing he will do is fight for his wicket. Johnny Bairstow can bat up the top of the order. He's done that before.
Well, he's going to play as a batsman with billing keeping because of his hand injury. So we're going through it, Liam, as you asked. So Hamid is toast. So Zach Crawley and Burnsy.
Or Lawrence.
Okay, yeah. I just can't imagine Burnsy playing again, even for his county, let alone for his country. Then you've got Milan at 3, who literally has played 2 of the best innings that we've seen from an Englishman this series. Remember, he's got 2 80s. You got Root's got to play. Stokesy, you don't think's going to get up?
I don't think Stokes.
Just to play as a batsman, you don't think so?
No, let's say he's in as a batter.
Okay, he's in as a batter. Josh Butler's gone home, so Billings is in for him. Bairstow's going to bat somewhere in the team. Wood has got to play. Yep. Broad's got to play, and Anderson's got to play.
Wokes will play.
Oh, Wokesy back.
Wokes will play a pink ball test match.
Okay, and do we say see you later, Leachy?
Well, we've seen in the past they're reluctant to pick Leach in the pink ball test match, so
Milan and Root do the spinning and leave Leachy out.
See, I think they'll pick him. I think Milan's had his time.
Really?
Yep. I do.
He's got 2 80s.
Yeah, he has. But I don't see him as a future of England cricket. He's an absent of 3 years before he came back to play this series. He started well, but the pressure of Test cricket's finally got to him. Australia have worked him out. He's looked quite ordinary and out of place the last couple of Test matches. That's where I'm playing someone like Ollie Pope. I just think the upside of him getting exposure.
You're in love with Ollie Pope.
No, I just think England need to find some batters. And Milan's not going to be the answer.
He's not a batter. He's proven that already this series.
They've all proven that.
Hey, Gus, can I propose, I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory, but I've got a working theory.
Okay.
I've noticed, as we've done these Willow talks, that our man Hads, who's been spot on with a lot of the things he's picked up.
He's a genius.
He picked up the David Warner injury before anybody else. He's been tipping us into who's going to be picked on what decks and all the rest. He's been outstanding. But
Before you go there, can I just give you and our listeners a bit of an insight into the commentary box at Triple M? So I'm sitting there doing the ball by ball. Hads and I do quite a bit together, and also I get lumped with Merv as well quite a bit, just quietly, who I love, by the way, and we have great time together. We've called some big moments. But I'm sitting there and I should look at Hads, and he's literally hasn't got the gloves on, but everything else in his mind is like, what is happening that I can explain to the Triple M listeners that no one else might pick up in any other media? And that's the gold of Hads, is that he's looking at it from a player's point of view, and he sees things and little niggles and just the body language of certain players and stuff, and that's the gold that your head is working at 100 miles an hour, isn't it, Hads?
Well, that's a problem I have every day of my life. It doesn't turn on. But I like looking at the little things in the game. I like to see the guys are doing the 1%ers off the ball. England have been horrible with that. But Butler's been atrocious this series with it, for example. He hasn't put a presence on the game, and that's what the keeper needs to do. Ollie Pope did that, actually, with the gloves when he came back into the team on the last day.
What about Popey is the... Oh, no, Billings is going to be the keeper.
Billings will stand in front of Australia and compete. He's cocky enough to want to win big moments. He's one of those players that'll get under the skin of the Australians as well, but he loves the big moment. Whether his technique can stand up to that, that's got better over the last 12 months, but he's one of those guys that'll stand and look Australia in the eye, and he'll piss them off, and he'll try to win the big moments.
Getting back to my theory,
yes,
and you've pumped it up nicely here, Gus, with the inbox stuff there from Hads.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one position that is most up for grabs in the England team right now?
Poor
Coach. Coach.
I'd rather cut my leg off.
I think our man Brad Haddin.
You couldn't pay him enough dough for him to go against Australia.
I think you might get a call. I think we've heard Ricky Ponting. I think somebody asked Mark Taylor if they do it on the commentary the other day. Brad Haddin knows what it's like to be not only part of a winning test side, but part of a successful coaching outfit. What do you think, Hat?
Are you talking to my brothers or me?
He's talking to you.
Liam, I'm flattered, but no, I couldn't do it. I enjoy the commentary too much with Triple M, and that comes first always. But no, I couldn't see myself at this stage of my life you never say never, but at this stage in my life of coaching
I can see a little inkling there. Some English sterling pounds floating around.
No way.
The door just wedged open a little bit there.
They do pay well. I'll give you the tip on that. And you would be a wonderful coach for them. That it's the attitude thing that you keep picking up on, that is where they seem to be missing. That energy they have in their one-day white ball cricket, it seems like that just gets completely taken out of them when it comes to the red ball.
Yeah, and one thing they got, I think, in the white ball form of the game as well, they got a really settled team, but they got a really good leader too in Owen Morgan. He drives a lot of those stands. He drives a brand.
He's a good Irishman, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good Irishman. He drives those standards that want to make you be great. All those little things. He reads the game well, but he also promotes a style of cricket that moves the game forward. And that's what you have to do. You've got to be a brave leader, and that's the one thing I think Ben Stokes would be really good at in the Test team.
I reckon that's why him would be such a good combination. I
think
you're onto something, Liam. I'm on board.
Hey, this is Willow Talk, thanks to Cooper's Mild Ale, the best mid-strength beer that tastes like a full strength. We're going to do our teams for the fifth and final test in Hobart very shortly, but quickly. Hads, last time we recorded, you walked out of the studio with a new weapon under your arm. You had a little bit of a gift from the fine people at TaylorMade, one of the new drivers.
Yeah, I tested it out yesterday.
And just before you speak, I've had a full report from your son. So don't you start speaking any BS, because I know what happened on the golf course. So tell Liam the truth.
Well, if that's my oldest son, Zachary, I'm glad you spoke to him because I haven't seen him for 24 hours.
And why is that?
Well, he beat me. So I only played 9 holes.
How did he get home from Gordon Golf Club?
I don't know. He's there with his grandfather as well. We tried the new TaylorMade club, so we had a bit of fun with that. But I had to leave after 9 holes and I was behind.
Yeah,
so
he carved you up.
That was 24 hours ago, so I don't know whether he's eaten. I don't know how he got home from Gordon down to Tennyson Point. So, Zach, I hope you're well.
I thought cricket players were meant to be good at golf, Hads. This is the brand new stealth TaylorMade driver that I tried to steal one last weekend when we did it, but
I heard that.
Charlie stopped me.
Fortunately, it's still on my desk, so I'm taking that home today. Well, mate, it's a pecking order here, mate, and you're well and truly behind me.
Gus, you wouldn't know a bloody golf course if you tripped over one, I don't reckon. When was the last time you swung the clubs in anger?
I'm giving it to my son, to be honest with you. I didn't get him anything for Chrissy, so. No, I play once a month or so with mates at Bayview, Mona Vale and Longreef. I'm not a member anywhere, but I do enjoy it, but it's too long a game. Like 9 holes is even too long. 6 holes, enough. A beer a hole, a 6-pack and a cart. That's the way you play golf, I reckon.
Gus wants T20 golf.
I do. Now, Liam, can we just talk just briefly about New Zealand versus Bangladesh? Bangladesh won the first test, and then New Zealand just won the second test. So that's 1-1. But Ross Taylor, someone you would have played a lot of cricket against, Hads, he played his final test match and he got a wicket.
Player.
He got a wicket. 9 down, and the captain threw him the ball and said, see if you can get a wicket. He got his 3rd test wicket, one for the test, and that was just a lovely way for him to finish, not with 100 or a 50, but with a wicket, Hads.
Yeah, they're just a feel-good stories of Test cricket, aren't they? Ross Taylor's been a great player for near on 15 years.
Yeah.
He'll go down as one of the New Zealand greats. I think he's got 19 Test hundreds, and that's just a great way to finish off. Bit of fun, and that's what we got to remember. That's why we all started the game. He's come on, got the last wicket. His teammates were all around him. His family was there watching him. But he's been a great for New Zealand cricket a long time, and he deserved a bit of excitement there at the end.
He sure did.
Kind of like when they let the retiring NRL forward, kick the conversion, or when the AFL defender wanders up from fullback and they try and spot him up on a short lead or something like that. Did they at any stage? Did you not have the gloves?
Not for first class cricket. I bowled a couple of times in grade cricket when state players came out to bat because they were really nervous to get out to me, so I could shut the scoreboard down there.
Oh. Were you any good? What did you bowl?
I bowled off spin, but I'd sometimes take 2 steps back, 5 steps back, 8. I made sure I'd made the batsman uncomfortable. I hurried the batsman a lot, so I'd get through the over in 35 seconds before they knew what was going on.
Can we talk quickly about the other test matches going on as well? South Africa versus India, that is poised at 1-1, brilliant. And yesterday, South Africa knocked over the Indians, but lost a wicket in the chase to end day 1. And of course, a big bash update as well, Liam, just from Hads's point of view. I suppose the Scorchers, the Sixers and the Thunder, you could pretty much lock away 3 of the 5 positions there. Who do you think's going to jump out and get 4th and 5th?
Yeah, I think the Hobart Hurricanes. To me, I think they've got the talent off the back of Ben McDermott and a really good bowling attack that can do that. I thought the Stars might have been able to have a run home, but they look a bit lost. The Stars, even though they had a lot of the COVID issues and they had caught a lot of players in, the first game with the COVID issues, they caught some bench players in. They did a really good job. The players that didn't stand up were Cartwright and Maxwell in the run chase. So I'd put a line through the Stars. The Heat are an interesting team to me.
Renegades as well, put a line through
Renegades
them.
are gone. Or
Strikers.
Strikers got a good bowling attack. They just need to find some runs. The interesting team for me is the Heat. That they need to win this game tonight against the Strikers. If they can win that game, they've got 9 players coming back. They've traditionally been a team that's gathered momentum at the back end of the year and just got in the finals and gone deep into the finals off the back of momentum. So they're a team to watch out for.
Well, the Big Bash for mine is becoming like the English Premier League of the 90s where it's just the same 2 teams winning every year. If it's not the Sixers, it's the Scorchers. Let's just have those teams playing a best-of-5 series and tell the other teams to have a holiday. The Marsh boys take the piss in the Big Bash. They really do.
I love Marsh playing for the Renegades. I love the fact that he's left the Scorchers to play there. Mitch obviously is freed up at the moment and playing with great confidence. But what I love, Lamb, and as you know, there's not many people that love the game of cricket as much as me. Just having it on. I don't necessarily have to sit there and watch it all the time. It's just on. So I'm walking in and out, making a barbie, having a chat with the kids, having a beer, whatever it might be. I've been checking TikTok a lot. TikTok's become a thing for me, as well
as...
Sorry,
no. I think it's got to stop down there for a second.
I think it's called a reel as well, like on Instagram. It's a reel, isn't it? That's right. Charlie's giving me the thumbs up. He's the youngster amongst us here. I've just find myself TikToking or reeling and watching all this sort of stuff. Had's just looking at me like I've literally really upset him. I'm sorry,
Are you sending Dan? Are you David Warner like on
No,
TikTok?
I don't do anything myself. I'm just watching other people. I find it really amusing how people have... I know this thing, TikTok, has become a thing. And I'm really enjoying it.
This thing, TikTok's been a thing for a while, and it's definitely not designed for you.
What about Spotify? I was on the grill team for 8 years before I realised that Spotify was the thing. So I am a little bit late to this technology, but, I'm really enjoying just having the Big Bash on. And I've enjoyed watching some of these clubbies having a go. And some of the clubbies, like you said, have actually done really well, Liam. So that sort of gives us a bit of an update.
If anyone out there wants to become friends with Gus, he's got a MySpace account that you can go and join up with.
Or as Matty Johns used to say, my face.
My face, exactly. Hey, right. Enough about Gus's social media activities.
What about Tasmania? The pitch is going to be...
Let's talk about the 5th and final, yes.
Yeah, it says it's going to have a little bit in it, the curator says, and he reckons, it's going to be tough going and end up being probably not a 5-dayer. What are your thoughts on that, Hads?
Yeah, well, if you go with history, the Shield cricket down there has always been hard work the last few years. They've modelled their team around having medium pace bowlers that they get a bit out of the wicket and challenge your batting
Scotty
technique.
Boland type stuff.
I don't think Scotty Boland will play.
We said that we made asses of ourselves by saying that.
No,
for the
you
fourth
two.
test.
No, not we, not the collective we. You two, right? I think again, if you check the tape,
Liam
mate,
is throwing
I think
us
if
under
you
the
check
bus.
the
Wait.
tape,
Mate, there's no
Mate,
iron
you check the
team.
tape when he made his debut. We broke that on here, remember?
that's
you
true.
did. That was on. That's you had.
That was
I
you
agree.
and me. That was you and me, Hads. Yeah.
No.
What?
I think if you have a look at the last test, he went off for scans. I think it was day 3 when they were bowling. He went off for
a heavy
scans.
fall.
Yeah, heavy fall. He looked sore through the test match. And it's a big effort to come in off the back of not much cricket and continue playing. He wasn't prepared for this test series. So Jai Richardson's fit again. He was outstanding in the pink ball test in Adelaide.
play.
So I think he has to play.
Right. So and a bit of rumour around Starkey might being rested.
I tell you what, I can't get my head around Starkey not playing a pink ball test match. He's by far the best bowler in the world in the pink ball test match.
Yep.
And this wicket, if it's got anything in the wicket and it is swinging, if England turned up and Mitchell Stark's name wasn't on the list, that's a win
cheering.
for them straight
Cheering,
away.
yeah.
So I think Mitchell Stark has to play. If they need to rest him from the 1 days. Let him play the 5 test matches. I think he's done a really good job during the test match with everyone being out. He stepped up. He had a low patch last test match, but the pink ball test match, you have to play him.
All right. So your bowlers are Cummins for yours, Hads. Your bowlers would be Cummins, Stark, Richardson back in, and Lyon. Obviously, Carey, Head comes straight back in at number 5.
I think he does. I think
definitely.
Yeah, he's our future.
So talk to me about the top 4 spots then.
Oh, what about you got
happens with-
Greenie at 6? You got your blood brother at 6, brother?
Mate, I'm telling you, Gus, your career as a broadcaster, calling cricket, you need to invest for the long term, and Cameron Green is going to be around for the next 10 years. And if I have anything to do with it, every time he speaks to Triple M, he will be informed of the fact that G. Worland had zero confidence in him from the beginning.
Wow.
Here's one thing for you.
Thank God we've parked you up in Queensland where no one will be listening to you, so we don't have to worry about it.
Liam, I think one day he will captain Australia in Test
I
match
couldn't
cricket.
agree more, Hads.
Wow. Is he really?
Yep.
I reckon Head will be the captain before him, and Head will captain most of his Test career.
Really?
Yeah.
This is a bloke who wasn't guaranteed a spot in the Test side
Oh my God.
3 tests ago.
I'm just saying that we gave his spot to him a little bit too easily. But he stepped up, so fair play
Some
to
have
him.
said the same about you in the Triple M cricket commentary
Hey,
team.
don't worry, that is true too. And the grill team.
So we
And the
got
Jet Set Legends.
We got Greenie
And
at
Willow
6.
Talk.
Heads back in at 5. No, you're a lock for this, mate. No one else wanted to do it. Talk to us about the top 4, Hads.
Oh, there's only one change. I think it's out of Harris and Khawaja, and I think they'll go Khawaja.
Okay. Yeah, I think so as well. You cannot deny that double tons. Brilliant.
But what does that then say? How does George Bailey sell that to
I think it's been sold by
the
Harris just
cricketing
watching
public?
it. You know what
Sure,
I mean?
but how does he sell that age factor? Because we talked about it a bit earlier on that you've got a couple of 35-year-olds or blokes very much closer to the end of their careers.
Just say Tom Brady. Say Tom Brady. Look, everyone's playing a little bit longer now. They're all professional. They look after each other better. They're all fitter than they used to be. So this old age, 35, 36, is not that anymore. That's 30. So you can go on closer to 40. And if you're scoring runs, then you're scoring runs. And I think Harris would have sat there and gone, you know what? My papers have been marked here.
Oh, you think he put his hand up?
No, but he's sitting there going, yeah, this is not good for me. He's got to understand that. And even though that 70-odd on Boxing Day was probably 100 because everyone else struggled, was top scored for the Test match, he needed to turn one of those starts. And he's had lots of them into 50s and 100s, and he hasn't done it.
Fair enough. All right. Now, quickly, none of our bold predictions for the 5th and final came through. Paddy Cummins let me down on the wicket-taking front. Gussie, you said Harris would make his first Test 100. That didn't happen, and now you want him max for the team. So,
Okay, so
your predictions.
Are we doing these predictions for the
Give us
Tassie
one more.
Test?
And because Hads, of course, you said they would not get Smithy out, and they did a couple of times. The Callum Ferguson graveyard that is Bellerive Oval, his one and only Test appearance. Is Ferg going to be a part of the lineup for the 5th
he will
and
be.
final?
He'll be doing a couple of days, doing a lot of big bash and stuff with 7 as well.
I think he was very hard done by the selectors.
Oh,
Callum Ferguson.
he certainly was. Can I say, I thought Brad Haddin was one of the nicest people on the planet, and he is, but he's got a real edge to him, Haddin. There is no edge to Callum Ferguson. He is the world's nicest man. So really, really disappointed for him that we have to go back there. And at some stage, I know Howie won't be able to stop himself having to go back, and he'll get the replay of the run out and the whole thing, and I'll just feel so bad for him because he's such a legend.
We've got a lot of talking points this test match to come up, to tick off, haven't we?
Of course, we were Tubby Taylor as well. We won't say it here, won't break it here, but, you know, what he's been carrying on with and driving around in Sydney is a debacle.
I'll give you a hint. He's now an Uber. He's involved with Uber. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to say.
If you're in the Lane Cove area and you get a pizza delivery, have a look under the lid. It could be Mark Taylor.
Righto, bold predictions for the 5th and final test. Who wants to kick us off? Who's got one?
Warner hasn't got 100 yet, has he? No, I reckon Warner's going to get 100.
Okay.
I think the series will finish in 4 days. Pat Cummins, man of the match.
Okay, that's good.
I think we see a double ton. I think we see a double ton out of either Australia's number 3 or number 4. I don't think we've seen a real defining Steve Smith innings yet, and I think he might notch up a double ton in Hobart.
Oh, that
so
would
that's
be...
my...
In a pink test on a green wicket?
It is a bold prediction. He did say it's bold.
Oh, look, I could back in the bloke who's made a heap of test hundreds to make one in David Warner like Gussie did. If you wanted me to roll out something like that, Hads, you're talking bold predictions, aren't you?
Okay, bold, yep.
Right.
Okay, well,
double ton.
Then Hads is not bold either. Over in 4 days and Cummins to be man of the match, that's not bold.
Yeah, but Hads has earned the right because he played Test cricket for Australia. Gus. You and I,
the bloody rules changed around here. I feel like a Matty John. You've turned into Matty Johns.
Nah, never. Don't have his hair. Can't. I'm running out of haircuts as we speak. Hey, all
that's
right.
That's not the only thing you haven't got.
You mean the paycheck?
And the
this has been Willow Talk. Is it the final one? Are we wrapping things up after the Hobart
No, I want
test?
one more. I reckon we should all talk.
All right.
For one more, we're going to talk after the 5th test match before you head off on one of your cashies. Somewhere around the world.
Some of us got to go to work.
Starts negotiating for the England coaching job, I think. This has been Willow Talk for Cooper's Mild Ale, the best mid-strength beer that tastes like a full strength. Gus, Hads, Liam, producer Charlie, we will all be back after the final test in Hobart. The coverage kicks off in 2 days' time. Gussie, Hads, stay safe, stay healthy. Can't wait to hear you on the coverage.
Good on you, mate. Thanks, Liam. See you, Hads.